Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to a new episode of the Genesys Cloud Community's Q&A show, the show where we answer your pressing questions in the Genesys online community. My name is Matt Lawson. I am your online community manager, and today we're talking about coaching. Not just coaching, but gamification, because Genesys Cloud has a new gamification suite that's native to its product, and that's great news for you guys. That means it's actually included with your subscription, especially if you're in Genesys Cloud 3. This episode seems a lot like an episode that we did way back when quarantine first started, because we were doing a free trial of some gamification apps that could help you energize your workbase while we're all getting used to working remotely and discovering what that routine and its redundancies look like. Well, Genesys now has native gamification built into Genesys Cloud, and this episode will walk you through what it's like for your admins, and more importantly, how easy it is to coach your agents. So stick with us. We're going to be talking to 3 different team members who have been working really hard to get out this information, and we can't wait to share it with you. Also, they'll be teasing a little bit about what's on the roadmap, what's going to be coming up, and it's all really exciting stuff. If you have any questions, there are 2 great communities you can ask them in, the Genesys Cloud community and the WEM community. So always feel free to find us and post your discussions there. All right, it's going to be a little bit of a longer episode. I don't want to hold things up any longer. Let's just get into it. First person that we're going to be talking to is Sarah Mar. Sarah, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Matt. I'm well. How are you? Thanks
Good. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. You and I used to bump into each other in the Raleigh-Durham office, but we've been separated due to quarantine. Anything new, fun, or exciting going on in your world?
Well, I did get another dog. And I have 2 dogs, and they're both at about 150 pounds together. So that's exciting.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you for coming on to the show, because you're actually going to be covering, well, not just you. Later on, we're going to meet 2 of your colleagues, and this whole episode is dedicated to gamification. To me, it's really exciting because back at the start of quarantine, we did an episode on gamification, and it was all about how you can build competition amongst colleagues so that they can stay in touch with each other during quarantine. They can keep it, like I said, somewhat competitive, see how they're performing and all of that. That episode was really to advertise a free trial that we were doing with one of our partners in the App Foundry, which from what I understand, I talked to a couple of customers who took us up on the trial and really enjoyed it. But what's really cool is what you're going to be talking about today exists for all of our Genesys Cloud 3 users out of the box. Is that correct?
It is. So all of those great gamification features that were available within Google, that's all being phased into Genesys Cloud. So now all Genesys Cloud 3 customers have native gamification available to them.
Sarah, do you mind talking a little bit about your role at Genesys and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm part of the Genesys Cloud product marketing team, and I work on workforce engagement management, specifically the employee performance discipline.
Cool. And today we're going to go through the native gamification that has been rolling out gradually over the past couple of months, but a couple of really big breakthroughs have happened. At the top of the episode, we're going to talk with you. Then we're going to go talk with Shika, who's going to give us an overview of the agent view and kind of like the admin view. And then we're going to finish by talking with Paul, who's going to go through some coaching examples. That's kind of like a general overview of the show. What did you want to talk about today? Yeah,
so it's not only gamification that we offer at Genesys Cloud. Like you mentioned, Paul's going to take us through the coaching capability, but it's all part of our employee performance discipline that falls under the workforce engagement umbrella. So at this point, you're probably very familiar with our workforce engagement capabilities. So under resource management, we have all that scheduling, forecasting. Under quality assurance and compliance, you get speech and text analytics and all that good stuff. Well, Matt, did you know that Genesys Cloud offers complete tool set for employee engagement?
Not until we started doing this.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised. So we, under the employee performance discipline, one of the 3 disciplines of WEM, you get capabilities to help with onboarding, learning and training, performance management through gamification, voice of the employee, coaching, and rewards and recognition.
Cool. We're doing this episode because a couple of new things have come out, but really more than anything, it's just like you said, to raise awareness that this stuff exists. And, it's a great tool to use to keep your colleagues interacting with each other, even when we are separated due to things like, quarantine and the pandemic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not something you have to integrate with another vendor. You don't have to pay for an additional add-on to get this. You're on Genesys Cloud 3. This is available to you.
Cool.
It's super important. And, when we think about the contact center, we hear a lot about customer experience and the importance of customer experience. What we sometimes don't hear as much, and it's so important, equally important, is the importance of employee experience. So with all the capabilities that you're going to see today, you're going to see that employee experience is really at the forefront.
Cool. Well, I'm really excited. Sarah, anything else you want to share before we start our tour of the gamification system that's now available?
Shik is going to take you through a redesigned agent activity view, and that's a personalized hub for employee development, right? So an agent can go and see their day schedule at a glance. They can see their overall performance, their personal best, any assigned e-learning, and upcoming coaching sessions. In the same view, you can also see gamified performance scorecards and leaderboards. So, I know, Matt, you're very familiar with gamification, but for those of you that aren't as familiar, it's using game mechanics and experience design to better engage and motivate people to achieve certain goals. So in the contact center, it's typically used to improve employee engagement, employee performance, collaboration, and overall experience.
I'm excited to see it. Sarah, anything you want to say before we start the tour?
Spoiler alert for Paul on coaching. So a lot of people aren't familiar that we offer coaching as part of Genesys Cloud. And Paul's going to do a better job at this. He's going to take you through this. But I'm so excited about it. If you're familiar with, and what you're used to is, back and forth emails to be able to schedule a coaching appointment or having to check with other teams, Genesys Cloud coaching capability lets you do this in such a streamlined, effective way. So managers, supervisors, and quality folks are able to identify right into interaction where coaching is needed, and in 2 simple steps, schedule that appointment and also get a comprehensive package of everything they need to conduct that coaching session. So it just streamlines the whole coaching process. Very exciting.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to learn more about that with Paul. I hate that I have to get off of the call with you, but thank you so much for helping us kick off this episode.
As we were talking about that quick slide, right, their on-queue job and off-queue activities. So some of the key activities which you saw there are represented in this new experience. So for example, agent can, let's say Shikha is an agent, right? They can come in to their activity page. They can quickly see, what's their schedule for today, right? So this is sort of a mini schedule representation, which gives them each individual activity that they are scheduled to do today, right? So they can conform to their schedule and activities on time. This view does take them, has a link to their view full schedule, which is your traditional, WFM schedule for the entire week that you can go through, still linked to the same. Another key new experience that you will notice is your upcoming coaching appointments. So let's say your supervisor has scheduled anything for you as an agent to coach you on, that would show up here, which would be, your top upcoming appointments with the key, title, when it is due, and, when it is scheduled for. So a quick action over there for you to take. And another, interesting part of this new experience is an ability to have a quick glance of their assigned modules, right? So what are due e-learning content for me this week, right? While I'm off queue, can I take one which is, about to expire and, get done with it? So I think this is a really good, useful view for our agents now. Now, I think, this is where I'll start talking a little bit about, how gamification comes into play and when we talk about performance management. So you see a new scorecard summary in the overview tab here, where agents would be given points for their overall performance different metrics, and they can see, their today's total, right? So today's March 23rd, what's my total points for today that I have been rewarded? What is my all-time total points, right? What's my day of week average? So these are, some good stats for agents to view quickly so they know where they are standing. Along with that, you can also see your personal bests. So the focus here is telling you, what was your best performance so far in terms of points. So your best day, best week, best month, that's for you. And also, giving you a comparison to your overall team, right? Who was the best day overall, right? For whom it was. In this case, it's just me, but you'll see probably another name within your contact center if they had a better performance than you.
Okay, cool. The personal best stats, can they be set to kind of like reset at the end of the quarter or, at the start of the week, month, something like that, if you want to customize what that range is? Or if the manager wants to?
Yeah, Matt, I think that's a good question. But right now, you can't really configure that. This is preset, because we thought we did a little bit of research, what kind of time period makes sense. So right now it is day and week and month, but definitely something to consider for future. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And these points, I guess, like in terms of, who has the most points and how much all that matters, it's really kind of a company decision, right? Like what does having 22,000 points mean versus somebody who has, 19,000? Right? The benefit is you can just kind of compare and contrast how you're doing with your peers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely, Matt, that's a, good point. So let me take a step back and explain, what really points do and mean. So think of them as intangible rewards that you are giving to your employees or your agents as a supervisor for them to know, get motivated that they're earning something while they're, doing a good job, while they're meeting your goal. So let's say you have certain performance metrics that you have enabled in agent scorecard, which I'll walk you through now. They can actually, earn points when they meet a certain goal based on the thresholds that you've set for them. Right. So yes, it can be used in different ways. For one organization, it might be that, just like kind of like what you said, comparing performance, right? Who has more points versus less. Or for some, can even go to the extent to say, if you have, this many points, or if you have the highest points, you're probably an award winner, we'll reward you with something more tangible. It can go in any direction, but really the objective is to, have an easy representation of your performance and kind of motivate you, right? Make it a little bit fun for you that you're earning something for the great work that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you have this all on the same screen as your assigned modules. So do you get points for finishing these modules?
That's an interesting thought. Not yet, not for modules, not yet, but something for future maybe.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to see what the scorecard looks like.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's get into scorecard. I think think of scorecard, like your, a periodic report card, right? Where you can actually see what your different performance objectives are and how you're performing over time or, for a particular day. Right, that's how this view has been built, and specifically for each agent. So we have right now a set of about 13, 14 metrics that you can supervisor can configure for their organization, and that's what shows up here. So in this view, I have actually configured all the default inbuilt metrics that come out of the box within Genesys Cloud. So for example, average handling time, number of transfers, interactions per hour, average hold time, and a few more, right? These are top contact center metrics that, are pretty common within a contact center. Now I'll take maybe 30 seconds quickly to explain how to read this experience. So you can see that, let's say you have AHT or average handling time as a metric. And for my current day, my average handling time so far is 1 minute and 36 seconds, right? That's my stat as an agent. This has been plotted or ranked on this target areas. So different ranges, right? If you have 1 minute to 5 minutes, you'll get certain number of points. If you have between 5 minutes to 7 minutes, 40 seconds, you'll get certain number of points, and so on and so forth. The arrows indicate here that, the more closer you are to this target zone in the middle, between 5 to 7 minutes, that's where you get maximum points. As you move out of this target zone, you'll probably get a lower value of points, right? So in this case, so far for today in real time, this afternoon, I still just have 1 minute and 36 seconds as my average handling time. So my points, are between 125 to 250. So you see 143 is points allocated to me. You can, what's cool is you can see, your 4-week trend and your 13-week trend to actually see how you're performing for that particular objective or metric over a period of time, right? And what's cool is all this is updated in real time. So you actually see your progress throughout the day as you are taking customer interactions and calls. I would, quickly show this really great view of monthly attendance. So agent can actually navigate to their previous day or, in future to see their how they've performed in past. And another great indication over here is what you can see for each individual day in a month. I can see whether I was scheduled for that day or not, right? So if you hover over it, I can see, okay, on 21st March, Shikha was not scheduled. And let's say if I was scheduled for a particular day, in this case, March 22nd, whether I was present or not, right? So it kind of gives you your attendance adherence as well. And in future, I can see, I'm scheduled. So I know that, hey, for next few days, I'm scheduled. I don't have a time off, and get a clear view from this attendance bar. So I think that's pretty cool and handy. Now we'll get into leaderboards, which is, the even more fun part about gamification, right? So really taking core concepts of gamification into action. So I will take you through maybe last month, where you can see all the data. Yep. So in this view, what really we are doing for an organization or a contact center is really on the basis of points. You can actually see where your agents stand, right? Who are your top performers? So who's 1, 2, and 3 in your organization, and what are the individual ranking of the different agents based on the points they have earned so far in real time. You can put filters on which specific time period that you want to look at the leaderboard. You have quick filters like this month, last month, this week, last week, to get a more recent view. And you can also, get your leaderboard rankings by a particular metric, right? So let's say you, as a contact center, have a few metrics which are more important than the others, then you can look at leaderboards specifically for that metric. So, really, I think I want to stress and emphasize that the role of leaderboard is to motivate and build kind of friendly and healthy competition for agents, to do, to strive for better performance, right? And be motivated. Look at this, hey, I want to get a gold medal. I want to get a silver medal or bronze medal, right? And strive for that performance. So, making it a little bit fun for them.
Thank you so much for the overview. I know this is new functionality. One question that a lot of people will probably have is, how do you turn all of this on? I understand that we have more thorough documentation. Is there any chance you could just give us a real quick preview of what turning it on looks like?
Yeah, Matt, for sure. I think, that's a key point. So let me take you through that. And as you mentioned, there is definitely, a bunch of documentation, and we can share links with the community. But quickly, so we're back to the new agent home experience and agent activity experience with gamification. Now, for an admin or probably a manager who's configuring this new experience, what they will need to make sure that they have right roles and permissions for this. So there are permission for each of the view, scorecard, leaderboards, agent activity UI. All of those permissions need to be enabled for your each of your agents, as well as supervisors and managers or admin who needs to have access. There's also a default role called performance management admin role that you can enable, and that will give you all the default permissions by its own. Again, there is resource center documentation for that available. I think that's the first part. The second part, key part, is also configuring what shows up within your scorecard, right? What metrics you want to show up, what are the thresholds, what are the values, right, that you want to enable for your organization. So we have this new performance and engagement section within Genesys Cloud. You'll see development and feedback and gamification profiles. So for your gamification capabilities, you'll need to get to this link. This will take you to a new tab with the default profile already available for you. Let's click default profile here. And as I was mentioning, right, that on the scorecard, you have option for 14 metrics, inbuilt metrics to show up. So these are available for you. At any time, you can actually go into each of this metric, be able to change the display name. And also, very most importantly, set what kind of objective you want, right? So you have options from this list. So for example, let's say for an average handle time, you might have a particular range within which, that you want your agents to be with, right? So let's say between 3 to 7 minutes. So you might want to select target area 3 zones. There might be a metric like, I would say, number of transfers, right? So you want those, that kind of metric to be as low as possible, right? You want that your transfers should be less, depending on, really what you think is best suited for your organization. So you can customize that objective type over here, right? So your scorecard automatically takes the shape accordingly. The second part of, the setup that you would want to do is, once you've selected the objective type, really set the actual values for that, threshold values for that objective types, right? So what are the ranges? It should be between 60 to 30 to 460 to 600, right? Where is your target or best performance? Which ranges account for good performance, right? And which are, absolutely probably not applicable or not acceptable. Beyond that, you actually don't give any points, right? You're not rewarding that kind of performance. So that's what you can set here. And also, really customize how much points you want to allocate when an agent is between certain limit or certain range. So all of that is changeable. You can enable or disable a particular metric. If you disable, that doesn't, agents don't get points for that metric, and it doesn't show up on your scorecard.
Gotcha. Going into this episode, you said you had a few things, on the roadmap that you wanted to kind of tease or share. Real quick before we head out, what else coming up that people can get excited about? Yeah,
actually, that's a very good segue, because you're actually really on that screen where, you might see it later on. We right now, as you see, you just have default profiles. So, out of the box, we will have an ability to eventually add custom profiles. So,
very cool.
You can group your set of agents into different profiles and have different targets and metrics and objective types, all of that good stuff per profile, right? So let's say in your organization, you have technical folks who are taking technical, support calls versus, somebody who's taking more of, just order lookup calls or something. You can actually segment the profiles that way and group the agents that way. So they are really comparing and, being measured against, similar kind of people, right, who do similar kind of jobs. So that's something which is on the roadmap. Yep.
Very cool. Shika, thank you so much for stopping by today. It's been great to get an overview of this new functionality. Thanks for sharing a little bit about how to turn it on. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining me today. How are you?
Oh, good, thanks. How are you?
Good, doing well. Is there any chance you could give us a quick introduction to you, talk about what you do at Genesys?
Sure. So I'm one of the product management team for Genesys Cloud. I'm part of the agent activity group. So my main focus is coaching and learning. I've been doing it just over a year now. Prior to that, I came through the Silver Lining route. So my background is all the performance management, coaching, learning development sort of side of the software as well. So that's where I've come from the last few years. And the last year we've been concentrating on getting the coaching and development of feedback modules sort of developed and out. Without delay, what do you think? Should we go ahead and hop into the demo? Sure. I'll jump in from the perspective of a quality manager or a supervisor, and we can sort of take it from there. This is for supervisors, quality managers, and the idea is that while you're going through doing your interaction reviews, we can go through, we can pick out an interaction as you normally would as part of your quality monitoring process. And we can now create coaching from that interaction. So we get all of the details that you'd expect. If you've got an evaluation form, that will be attached here as well, so you can go through and complete your evaluation. And then we can hit this schedule coaching button. So we've got two options. We can add it to an existing one. So if you've already got a coaching session in flight, we can just go and add it to it. So we can add multiple interactions to the same session. So we're not having to repeat the process or have multiple coaching sessions. For this, I'll just go through creating a new appointment. So as with everything, we get to give it a meaningful name. So we can give that your title. So let's give it a monthly review. By default, it selects the first agent within the interaction. With the drop down, we can see all of the agents that have been involved in that interaction or had some sort of touch point within that. So we can select Paul or Liz from this. So for these purposes, I'm going to select myself. We can decide whether it's facilitated or self-administered. So if it's facilitated, we can come down. As you saw, it's already prompting that I can't facilitate myself. So we can go and find another supervisor or coach to take that session. We put a brief paragraph in if we need to put a description, and we automatically link the interaction that we've come from. If you need to link more interactions, we can hit the plus icon, and if you know the interaction ID, we can just build a library of interactions. So as most organizations have to review 5 or 10 interactions a month, these could all be linked to this one coaching appointment, and you've got all of the information you need there ready for that coaching session. Equally, we can add supporting documentation through clicking the plus button. We can go through to the Genesys Cloud documents and content management workspace and select documents that are shared on the system and held on the system. So it does away with having to have separate network drives for learning materials, sending emails to links and all those other good things. And in the next couple of weeks, we're adding the functionality to add in a URL as well. So you could add a link to your internal knowledge base or an external white paper if that's going to be helpful as well. Awesome. Or a YouTube video, I guess, whatever you need. Yeah. And a lot of people are using video and soundbite clips because the more interactive it is, the more engaging it is, the more helpful people find it. People don't all appreciate side-by-side coaching or the dry PowerPoint presentations that a lot of people are used to. So yeah, make it as interesting, as engaging as you want to. We can attach all of those different formats. Cool. As we next through, we come through to the schedule page. So because I'm in WFM and I've got a schedule, it's automatically defaulted to the WFM view. So I can select the week that I want to schedule the coaching for. I'll select next week. We can then check the schedule, and it's going to return me the 10 best slots for a 30-minute coaching session. This is based on WFM schedules and availability. Mm-hmm. So what's my schedule? Have I got any non-interruptible activities like other meetings, training sessions, lunches, breaks, mm-hmm. and also the availability of my facilitator. So it's done all of that checking for you. Anyone that's worked in resource planning will know that trying to marry those two up becomes an arduous task sometimes, but we're doing it for you. So as a supervisor or as a quality manager, you've got the insights here to know when is going to be a good time for the business, the agent and the facilitator. We also take into consideration other coaching appointments. So if the facilitator's coaching 3 or 4 sessions that day, we'll take those into consideration as well, so we're not double booking them.
Cool. And yeah, and just so everybody's aware, these time zones look a little late in the day, but that's because I think you're in Europe and Shika is over here in the States, I think on Central Time. So
yeah, exactly.
That's what it's trying to do there.
Yeah, so I'm over in Birmingham in the UK, so we're 4 hours different, I think, at the moment to Shika. Cool. So once you've found the slot that you want, we hit finish. That is now scheduled, that coaching appointment, for the facilitator and the attendee. The WFM shift has been updated with a training activity with the coaching attached. A notification has gone out to all parties. So if we go to our inbox, we'll be able to see the coaching icon has now got a little asterisk. So we can go in and we can see that the orange ones are my unread ones, and we can see that my monthly review has just been created here. So from an agent perspective, I could launch that from here. So when I launch that, because I am the attendee, let's just get rid of that bubble. It should launch. There we go. So it will launch the basic details. The status can be changed by both the attendee and the facilitator. That was intentional because if you're doing side-by-side coaching, we didn't want the facilitator to do the coaching and then have to go off to another terminal to then log in to progress it. So you can progress it while you're side-by-side. We have notes, so you can have a two-way conversation between yourself and your facilitator or the attendee. If you're at a permissions level where you can be a facilitator, you can mark some of those notes private, so they're only visible to the facilitator or creator of the session. So there might be just crib notes of things that you need to consider while on the coaching session. But essentially, let's say this is two-way dialogue and a record of the coaching session. So it could be like, facilitator, hey, Paul, these are the interactions we're reviewing this month. Could you have a look through, listen to, make some notes? Or while reviewing, I noticed you're struggling with the security processes this month. I've included the security policy and documents just to remind you of the process. We'll go through it in person on the coaching session and those good things. And then on the schedule tab, we've got details of the appointment. And again, if you have facilitator privileges, you can reschedule from this point. So if there is a clash or there's a campaign's kicked off and availability just isn't there anymore, you need to reschedule, you can do that very quickly from here.
Cool. And I would assume all of these appointments are reflected in whatever your calendar view is, if you're using, Outlook or whatever it may be.
Yeah. So as we've seen previously from the activity home, there's a list of your coaching activities. So down here we can see the coaching activities as they come through.
Mm-hmm.
So we can click on those and go off from there.
Cool. Very nice. Let's see here. I know that a lot of this stuff is new, and like you said, it's just so easy. It makes coaching so much easier. All the attachments that you need are right there. Anything else new and exciting that you want to point out while we're doing this tour?
No, so that's it from coaching, and a lot of the feedback we're getting is that it does bring everything together and make it a central process rather than having to send out different emails and links and things. Maintaining conversations in chats and spreadsheets and things like that. So we're seeing a lot of sort of time-saving elements and convenience elements coming through with that. The other exciting thing is modules. So development and feedback modules are due to be released in the next month or so.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. And I think Shika mentioned those, or maybe it was Sarah Mar. One of them definitely talked about it in an earlier session. I hope you guys can come back on the show when those are released so we can get a preview of what they look like. Yeah,
this is really exciting. And we've also teamed up with the Genesys Beyond team. So out of the box, we'll be able to deliver, I think it's 5 predetermined Genesys Beyond courses to help with the onboarding process.
Oh, nice.
So when a new agent lands on this page, they could have their Genesys Beyond training on how to use Genesys Cloud products. So they've got product-specific training from us, the vendor. It's up to date, available, so they get to know how to use the system before then sort of doing the in-house onboarding of how to do the job, that type of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of good things coming with the development and feedback modules. So I'll be happy to come back on that.
Awesome. One of the things Shika showed when she was just on is, of course, the overview page that you're on now and the scorecard. When it comes to the admin perspective of the overview and the scorecard, anything on those pages that are worth pointing out in terms of reporting or anything like that?
Not at the moment from a coaching perspective. When learning and development modules come out, we're hoping to have a beta of development tabs. So within the My Performance area, we're going to add a tab there, which is going to bring in together your coaching and modules. So you'll be able to see what's been assigned to you, what's outstanding, what's been completed, what's in progress. So all those important contact center metrics and insights for managers, supervisors to see who's been assigned what, where they are on the progression of that as well. So if they do need to chase up because there's some mandatory training that needs to be completed by the end of the week, they've got all of that information. So that's coming along as well. So at the moment, we don't have it, but it is coming, and it is something that people ask for. As soon as people have got their heads around coaching, it's like, and now can I report on it?
Yeah, right.
We've got the APIs already there. We just haven't got the UI built within the product. So if you've got the capability to build your own reports, the information's there and the APIs are there, so you can tap into those when you're ready.
Awesome. Well, I don't think I have any more questions right now. Thank you for the comprehensive overview of what's going on. Anything else you want to share before we end this session?
No, I think that's it. I'm sure everything from the agent activity side has been covered. And with learning modules not being out yet, I'd love to come back and go through that with you at a later date as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody has any questions about coaching, what do you think? Should they post in the Genesys Cloud community?
Yeah, so we've got posts in the Genesys Cloud and Genesys WEM communities. There's also a couple of video posts in there of the coaching features. So there's comprehensive walkthroughs. So if people didn't quite catch anything on this trimmed down version of the demo, there's full run throughs there as well. But yeah, post in the community. There's a few very active members there, as well as myself and a couple of the other PMs, and we're happy to help point you in the right direction, take your ideas on board for any future enhancements as well.
Awesome. Paul, thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate your time, and can't wait to catch up with you down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt.
All right, cool. All right, later, buddy.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. We hope it was helpful and maybe a little bit entertaining. Each week, our host and experts review community discussions and debate what content to discuss, so your voice matters. Did we miss something? Do you have a question for the show? Let us know. Join the conversation at the Genesys online community. As a Genesys customer or partner, you can create an account. Just click the sign-in button found on most pages and follow the necessary instructions to create an account. Also, feel free to email us at qashow@genesys.com. We'd love to hear from you. If this is your first episode, welcome. You can view our entire archives. Go to the Helpful Links panel found on most community pages and find the QA Show archive that interests you. We appreciate your support of the show and the community. Cheers!